Welcome to part 3 of the Expanding dELD Learning Series. We will dig deeper into Unit 2, the standards of focus, the end of unit assessment, and the rubric. The end of the semester performance task will be highlighted at the end of this video as a preview of what's to come. First, we will look at the Unit 2 overview to understand the ELD standards of focus. Highlighted in blue, you see the unit's priority standard. The standard calls for students to evaluate language choices. From the standard, we identify what students will be able to do. Throughout the unit, we will allow students to explain ideas, present ideas, and support arguments. This could be done orally or in writing. The standard focuses on the presentational mode of communication. By the end of the unit, students will have the ability to present information, concepts, and ideas to inform, explain, persuade, and narrate. Notice that the end of unit assessment is guided by these same concepts and skills of the standard. As previously mentioned, students will have multiple opportunities to practice the concepts and skills of the priority standard throughout the unit. In Lesson 2, for example, students have an opportunity to explain why they think the main character is selfish, or why they think he is not. They will present their ideas both orally and in writing. The lesson sets the stage for students to support their argument by using evidence from the text, starting with the pre-reading activity of scanning the text, building up to students identifying detailed evidence to transfer their prediction into a clear claim. Notice how these same concepts and skills will be assessed at the end of the unit. Students will have opportunities to use the rubric that will be used to grade the end of unit assessment to formatively assess their progress as they acquire the academic vocabulary to master the concepts and skills of the priority standard. Highlighted in purple, you see the unit's supporting standard. The standard calls for students to modify to add details. From the standard, we identify that students will be able to expand sentences using adverbial and prepositional phrases. Throughout the unit, we will allow students to expand their sentences using these adverbial and prepositional phrases to add details. Like the priority standard, this could be done orally or in writing, and the supporting standard also focuses on the presentational mode of communication. By the end of the unit, students will have acquired knowledge about both adverbial and prepositional phrases. Notice that the end of the unit assessment will also assess students in being able to provide detailed evidence. Here we see Lesson 3 of Unit 2. Please note that Lesson 3 of every unit will always focus on the grammar highlighted in the supporting standard. For this unit, the supporting standard asks students to expand sentences using adverbials and prepositional phrases to add detail. In every unit of this course, Lesson 3 will activate prior knowledge of students that students may have in their understanding of the grammar of focus. To be successful in mastering the supporting standard of Unit 2, students need to have a strong understanding of adverbs, adverbial phrases, prepositions, and prepositional phrases. Once students review the grammar of focus, they will complete a third read of the text. During this third read, students will apply their knowledge by identifying the grammar of focus in context. Lesson 3 ends with an opportunity for students to add details to the claims they wrote in the previous lesson, using the adverbial and prepositional phrases they identified from the text. The end of Lesson 3 provides students another opportunity to use the rubric that will be used to grade the end of unit assessment. This time, focusing on assessing how well students incorporated categories D and E of the rubric. Students will continue learning and applying the skills and concepts of the unit in lessons 5, 8, 9, and like lesson 3, lesson 9 of every unit of this course focuses on the grammar highlighted in the supporting standard of the unit. Lesson 11 recycles the strategies used in lesson 5, allowing students the opportunity to continue mastering the skills of the standard and avoiding having to introduce a new strategy. In every unit of this course, the concepts and skills of the supporting standard is first introduced to students in lesson 3, and then every 5th or 6th lesson thereafter. For this unit, students will work on mastering the concepts and skills of the supporting standard in lessons 9, 15, 21, and 26. The priority standard is the main focus in all other lessons of the unit. The final lesson of the unit, and prior to the end of unit assessment, provides students an opportunity to assess their growth by comparing the post-assessment to the pre-assessment, taken when the unit was first introduced. And it allows students one final opportunity to practice the concepts and skills of the priority standard before the end of the unit assessment. Finally, we are viewing the end of the unit assessment for Unit 2. Students will respond to the essential question of the unit using an infographic to support their response. As mentioned at the beginning of this video, the same concepts and skills from the priority standard and the supporting standard that students have practiced throughout the unit guide the assessment. The rubric is also the same rubric students have used to assess their progress as they worked for mastery of both the concepts and skills of the priority and the supporting standard. This allows for students to genuinely demonstrate mastery, or not, of the standards independently and without scaffolds or any extra support. For planning purposes and looking ahead to December, in slide 33 of the teacher guide, you will find everything you need to prep for, teach, and assess the end of semester performance task. This counts as the final for the course before we head out for winter break. We encourage you to take some time to review this information. Please reach out to your ELD TOSA if you'd like to discuss, plan, or if you need support.